Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a good morning. 2 days. We are 2 days away from the draft. In all likelihood, we're at least 3 days away from the Seahawks doing anything, but we are 2 days away from the draft. And before we get there, I wanted to take one video to talk about one angle on the draft that I haven't really discussed. Yesterday, I made a video about Julio Jones and how the Falcons apparently really want to trade him, and how I thought it would be an interesting fit for the Seahawks, and that the team should at least take a shot at him. So I was talking about a scenario in which the Seahawks would trade draft capital for a player. So let's go the other way. What if the Seahawks decide to trade a player for draft capital? What if the Seahawks take a player that they view as expendable or no longer part of their future plans, or, well, present plans as well, and decides, hey, let's get a little bit of value? So before I talk about the players the Seahawks could consider doing this with, let me state one thing. In general, in a general sense, I think trading players for draft picks for this team in this situation is a no-no. In a general sense, this team is trying to win now. We are trying to win a Super Bowl this year, next year, and the window at that point, who knows what it might be. We could reopen the window, but the window only stays open for so long. So giving up a player who you know can help you win now, even if it's only a little bit, but giving up that player that you know can help you win now in exchange for a pick that you have no idea what it's going to turn into. You don't know if it's going to turn into a good player who is good immediately. You don't know if it's going to turn into a good player who takes a year or two to develop. You don't know if it's going to turn into a bust. That's kind of a no-no. So before we even get started here, I want to say I'm pretty resistant to the idea of giving up the talent that we know for the talent that we don't know. Nevertheless, there is a scenario, or at least a few scenarios, where you can argue that giving up a player and getting a little extra draft capital this weekend is valuable. So let's take a look at the guys who we could give up in a trade. On offense, it's actually really simple for me. The only guy I could see this team trading before the draft, the only guy who I think we would view as expendable in any way, shape, or form, is right here, Rashad Penny. I don't think Rashad Penny has value. Let me be clear about that. If we trade Rashad Penny, I'm talking 6th round pick, 7th round pick, salary dump type stuff. We are not going to get assets for Penny. So before you guys jump in my comment section telling me Rashad Penny sucks, I know. Well, okay, I don't think he sucks, but I don't think he has value. However, you could get out of paying him a couple $1,000,000 this year. He is making a few million. He was a first round pick. And you could just move on. Now, I don't love this, because if you trade Rashad Penny, you're doing one of two things. Either you're creating a hole at running back that needs to be filled by somebody else. So you're just going to trade him, get a really low value pick, and then you're going to need to bring in another running back anyway, so I don't think you're really helping your situation. Or you're going to be putting a lot of faith into Alex Collins, Travis Homer, and DJ Dallas, because Chris Carson is our starting running back, and I like Chris Carson. I think we all do, but when Chris Carson is your starting running back, you need all hands on deck, because he's not going to play a full season. It's just not in his character. It's not in his nature. So you trade Penny, either you need to bring in somebody else, which I think kind of defeats the purpose, or you need to have faith that Alex Collins can handle 10 to 12 touches a game, that Travis Homer can be a full-time third down back and be effective in that role, and that DJ Dallas is ready to step up in case of an injury or just plain exhaustion. And I'm not really there. So that's the only candidate I can see. Give away Penny for like a 6th round pick. I find it hard to believe Penny has value beyond that. So I'm very bearish on this happening, but it's on the table. So offensively, like, who else are we going to trade? Like, what? We're going to trade Jamarco Jones. We're going to trade Will Dissly. We're going to trade Penny Hart. Yeah, we're not getting anything for these guys. So, offense out of the way. Let's go over to the defense. So, the front four. The only guy here that I would consider trading as of right now would be Benson Mayowa. And as near as I can tell, trading him would actually incur a bigger cap hit in 2021 for the Seahawks than just keeping him would. If I'm understanding his contract correctly, trading him or cutting him is more expensive than just keeping him. I certainly don't want to trade Dunlap because he's Dunlap. I don't want to trade Robinson or Taylor because I believe they have potential to be very good and I want to cash those chips. Some people have suggested Rasheem Green being a trade, and that's intriguing. But I don't want to trade Rasheem Green until I know that Aldon Smith can play this year. As long as the Aldon Smith situation is hanging over our head, I want to keep Rasheem Green as insurance for that. Because if Aldon Smith can't play this year, Rasheem Green's going to be the 5 tech, the only backup 5 tech we have behind Hyder. And if you get rid of Green on top of losing Smith, then you're talking about either Dunlap needs to play a lot of 5 tech, which we don't know if he can do, or LJ Collier needs to move back to 5 tech, which is what we're trying to get him off of. So not into that. I'm going to say that right now. Until we find out about Aldon Smith, or until we know for a fact that Dunlap can play 5 tech effectively, I'm not on that wagon. So not really seen anything here. It's a bit unfortunate that the Mayowa contract has us kind of twisting in the wind, but that's the way I see it. So let's go on here. I don't see anything really in the linebacking core that we could trade. Nothing really in the cornerback spot either. None of these guys have real value except maybe Trey Flowers could be worth like a 6th-round pick, but again, why? Why not just keep him for one more year and see what's up? So let's get to the one interesting conversation to have because the way I see it, there are 4 players that the Seahawks could actually trade to get real assets that make sense. And it's these guys down here, these 4 guys. Ugo Amadi, starting nickel, Marquise Blair, who kind of backs up at nickel and safety, Jamal Adams, and Quandre Diggs. Now, I'll knock it out of the way real quick for you. I don't think we're trading Jamal Adams. I don't. And I don't want to trade Jamal Adams. I don't want to make that big of an investment and then turn around and flip it for half the value. I don't want to do that. And that's probably what we would end up doing. I think that Jamal Adams can be part of this defense's future for the next decade plus. So I don't want to trade Jamal Adams. However, there is a bit of a talent logjam here at the nickel slash safety position. You've got Ugo Amadi, who played really well last year at nickel for us, and after what he did, I feel very comfortable saying that he should be the starter. Of course, Jamal Adams should be the starter, and Quandre Diggs just made the Pro Bowl and had a really nice year. So all these guys clearly deserve to start, and that leaves Blair in a very odd situation because we spent a mid-second round pick on him just a couple years ago, and he has nowhere to play. It's gotten to the point where some people are saying he should be played at outside cornerback just so he can get on the field. I don't even know if he would be able to do that, if he's going to be able to change position again and immediately be better than what we have, even if what we have is not that great. So you could trade Amadi, get some pretty decent value, I think. Amadi might be worth a 4th-round pick, and then you bump Blair into the starting spot at nickel. And you've got guys who can back him up at nickel, like DJ Reed can play nickel, Demarius Randall can play nickel. There are guys you can get for basically free in free agency still who can play nickel, like God, I can't remember his name, but there are nickel cornerbacks out there you can go get. You could trade Jamal Adams for a 1st-round pick plus maybe a 3rd-round pick and or maybe you could stretch the 3rd into a 2nd-round pick. I don't know exactly what Jamal's worth would be, but you could get a decent chunk for Jamal and then just have Blair be the starting strong safety and go from there. You'd still have a pretty good safety group. It just wouldn't be the best in the league. Or because Quandre Diggs is about to be a free agent and I don't know if we're going to be able to keep him because of the money, you could trade Diggs now, cash that chip in. You could flip him for more than you traded him for. He just made the Pro Bowl. You could probably get a 4th-round pick for him. I think that we traded a fifth round for him, so that would be a good swap if you look at it like that. And then Blair can be the starting free safety. So those three things strike me as reasonable. They strike me as ways to get decent value. You could get fourth round picks. Maybe you could get a third round pick for Diggs. I don't know. I kind of feel like his age is going to hold him back there, but it's not impossible. And finally, you could trade Marquise Blair himself. Now, Blair hasn't done anything in the NFL, but unlike Penny, he's only been in the league 2 years and he's only had one real injury. Penny's been injured like 18 different times, I think, at this point. So I think Blair might have real value. Blair, because he's young, because he was a high draft pick, because he's talented, you might be able to get a fourth round pick for him. And if you take a look at our secondary right now, you can make a pretty good argument that Blair just is never going to be able to get on the field. At this point, he's basically just waiting for somebody to get hurt. And I don't know if that's the best use of a second round asset. So maybe we should just flip him, get an extra pick in the fourth round, and spend it on something that we can use now. So that's really it. I can't imagine trading anyone else for picks at this point. You're not going to really get anything worthwhile for Wagner, and there's going to be a ton of dead money. You're not going to get anything for, I don't even know. I can't even humor most of these players having value in the in the trade market. But yeah, you could trade Amadi, fourth round pick, bump up Blair to starting nickel, trade Jamal Adams for a first plus a third, maybe first plus second, put Blair at strong safety. You could trade Diggs, maybe get a fourth or third round pick, move Blair to free safety, or you can just trade Blair for like a fourth rounder and just move on from the failed experiment. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Would you guys do one of these? Who would you like to swap? What makes the most sense to you? Or would you just stand pat or maybe even go the other way and do the Jamal Adams idea I had? So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. And we are almost there, guys. We have almost made it. Keep an eye out for the mock draft extravaganza later today. Peace.